the use of the first language in classrooms. Now we come to a more direct question about the use of the first language in classrooms, a choice that we as teachers or we as institutions have always to make. It's a difficult choice, but the methodologists or the researchers who work with pedagogical theories or methodologies would endorse systematic use of the first language in the second language classrooms. Now, the key word over here is systematic use. It does not mean that we teach all the English in Urdu or in our classrooms, as it happens in most of the times in government schools or in some private schools also, but to realize that it has a role and to use it systematically to our advantage. Many teachers, including myself, we make intuitive use of the first language in our classrooms. We just intuitively know when to switch to the first language, especially when we are giving instructions or trying to explain. We just know it because we can tell by standing there in the classroom, looking at our learners. We try to understand their needs and we make these decisions. We want to make sure that they are able to comprehend or understand what we are saying, and we want also to make sure that they are involved. Now, we as teachers also, we code switch. Code switching is moving from English to Urdu and Urdu to English within a sentence or outside a sentence. We translate. At times we give the instruction in English and then we translate it and then we translate back in English. And sometimes some teachers actually plan bilingual lessons. So they build in these lessons in their mind. When they are planning their classrooms, they do a systematic planning of how and when will they use the first language of the learners to explain the second language. In any case, its use has to be legitimized. There has to be a rationale for its use. And this rationale has to be something else than the teacher's own poor proficiency of English language. So the English teacher, definitely should know her subject, or the second language teacher needs to know the second language, and her own proficiency should not be the reason why she is using or he is using the first language of the learners, but its use, which if it is judicious in certain parameters, carefully designed, can be very helpful. So your researchers would say that the first language can be used in L2 classrooms for 4 reasons: efficiency, to get the task done in a shorter period of time. For instance, if you are giving instructions to the children and they are not able to understand those instructions in English language, if you are explaining a grammatical concept and they can't possibly seem to understand that concept, then referring to Urdu should not be a problem. So efficiency, time constraints, learning, enabling the learners to actually learn the concept or the construct or the sentence structure, or to facilitate their learning. If we are using the first language, there is simply no harm in it. Number 3, naturalness, and I would say connectedness at times. At times, as you would see that in any multilingual context, learners are constantly code switching. Usually in Pakistan also, people code switch between Urdu and Punjabi, Urdu and Pashto, Urdu and English also. So when we code switch in our classrooms, it is only a natural thing to do. So it only enables us to connect with our learners. And then relevance. Remember, we said learner agency can only be involved if the learners understand what is going on. So by using the first language of the learners, at times we make their learning more relevant to them. They can see the relevance of what they are being taught.